Welcome to City Music Stories. Here we visit a city somewhere on Earth and look at two musical artists associated with that city. Until requests come for repeating artists, I'm focusing on how the artists got their big break. That might be their first single or their first recorded work. This series is driven by comments, so leave a comment for future videos. Let's get ready to travel now. Today we are going to the Queens borough of New York City, and this was suggested by my friend Max Washington Songs. He suggested the city and both of the artists for this video. And Max suggested a few other artists from New York to check out for future videos. If you'd like for your city or one of your favorite artists to be mentioned in a video, please let me know in the comments. The artists we have today are Tony Bennett and one of my favorites, the Ramones. Let's get started by taking a look at Queens. Queens is a borough of New York City. It's the largest borough in area and is adjacent to Brooklyn at the western end and with Nassau County to the east. Queens also shares water borders with the boroughs of Manhattan, Bronx, and Staten Island. Queens is the second largest in population of the 5 New York City boroughs with a population of 2.4 million. If each borough were ranked as a city, Queens would rank as the 4th most populous in the United States after Los Angeles, Chicago, and Brooklyn. Approximately 47% of the residents of Queens are foreign-born. Queens is the most linguistically diverse place on Earth and is one of the most ethnically diverse counties in the United States. Queens has a lot to offer tourists, from museums to more. For me, I would love to go on a food tour of Queens. That sounds like an absolutely amazing idea. So maybe next time I get to visit New York, if I get some extra time, that might be on my list of things to do. I want to take a moment and thank my patrons because their contributions each month really make these videos possible. Yeah, you might see ads on here, but the ads don't do as well as Patreon does. If you like supporting indie creators like me, please consider it. It's as little as $1 per month, and you can pay $3 and $5 for some extra perks and things. I've been sharing weekly videos of live music performances, and that is a lot of fun because live music is happening again outside the city where I live. I'm getting lots and lots of video, and it's going on Patreon. Anthony Dominic Benedetto, known professionally as Tony Bennett, is a retired American singer of traditional pop standards, big band, show tunes, and jazz. He is also a painter, having created works under his birth name that are on permanent public display in several institutions. He is the founder of the Frank Sinatra School of the Arts in Astoria, Queens, New York. Bennett developed his singing technique, signed with Columbia Records, and had his first #1 popular song with Because of You in 1951. Several tracks such as Rags to Riches followed in early 1953. He then refined his approach to encompass jazz singing. He reached an artistic peak in the late 1950s with albums such as The Beat of My Heart and Basie Swings, Bennett Sings. In 1962, Bennett recorded his signature song, I Left My Heart in San Francisco. Bennett had a comeback in the late 1980s and 1990s, putting out gold record albums again and expanding his reach to the MTV generation while keeping his musical style intact. Now we're looking at Tony Bennett's early career and trying to find his first recording. And this is a very interesting story because people thought that it was lost. So here's some story to lead up to that. Upon getting out of the Army, he studied at the American Theater Wing on the GI Bill. He was taught the bel canto singing discipline, which would keep his voice in good shape for his entire career. Based on a suggestion from a teacher there, he developed an unusual approach that involved imitating, as he sang, the style and phrasing of other musicians, such as that of Stan Getz's saxophone and Art Tatum's piano, helping him to improvise as he interpreted a song. He made a few recordings under the name Barry in 1949 for Small Leslie Records, but they failed to sell. So Tony Bennett's first recordings were under the name Joe Barry. If you want to read this full story, there's a link in the description, but this is just a summary. Tony Bennett's first recordings were actually found by a record collector. Previously thought to be non-existent, Tony Bennett's first recording under the name of Joe Barry was recovered by collector Bill Bowman. Since then, more copies of this recording has surfaced, but this one was the first known to the general public. Among the stacks of records stood out a white label record on a label I've never heard of by an artist I've never heard of. I put it aside to check out later. Upon listening to it, I immediately thought that the male vocalist sounded like Tony Bennett. I did a little researching online, and sure enough it was. Due to copyright reasons, I can't include any of this song in this video, but check the description if you're curious. As we move on to our next artist, if you have an idea for an artist or a city, please let me know in the comments. The Ramones were an American punk rock band that formed in the New York City neighborhood of Forest Hills, Queens in 1974. They're often cited as the first true punk rock group. Despite achieving only limited commercial success initially, the band was highly influential in the United States, Argentina, Brazil, and most of South America, as well as Europe, including the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, Germany, Sweden, and Belgium. All of the band members adopted pseudonyms ending with the surname Ramone. Although none of them were biologically related, they were inspired by Paul McCartney of the Beatles, who would check into hotels as Paul Raymond. The Ramones performed 2,263 concerts, touring virtually non-stop for 22 years. The Ramones recorded their debut album, Ramones, in February 1976. Of the 14 songs on the album, the longest, I Don't Want to Go Down to the Basement, barely surpassed 2.5 minutes. The Ramones album was produced on an extremely low budget of about $6,400 and then released in April. The now iconic front cover photograph of the band was taken by Roberta Bailey, a photographer for Punk magazine. This magazine was largely responsible for the use of the term for the scene emerging around the CBGB Club, and ran a cover story on the Ramones in its third issue, the same month as the record's release. Blitzkrieg Bop was released as the band's debut single in February 1976 in the United States. It appeared as the opening track on the band's debut album that was released later in April. The song's composition was credited to the band as a whole. The song is based on a simple 3-chord pattern. The song is popular at sporting events where the iconic chant, "Hey, ho, let's go," is sometimes shouted as a rallying cry. Blitzkrieg Bop is a perfect example of that fast early years punk rock style which the Ramones invented. The song is a mere 2 minutes and 10 seconds, but would easily have been 3.5 minutes or so if performed by a different group. Everything the Ramones did back then was deceptive. The song Blitzkrieg Bop sounds simple, but the timing and exactness of the layers intertwining is genius-level music. I like this song because it's fun. The song is an apex fun party punk rock song. The beat is fantastic. The entire song is one big wonderful hook. It's punchy with high energy, and there is zero chance of it outlasting its welcome because it's so short and sweet. Even the lyrics are about going out and having a good time mixed with a metaphor about military conflict. In a single word, I think fun is a good way to describe this song. And here's some insight into the creation of this song. There was a big hit by the Bay City Rollers at the time called Saturday Night, which was a chant-type song, says ex-drummer Tommy Ramone. So I thought that would be fun for the Ramones to do too. Somehow I came up with "Hey, ho, let's go," and I just liked the term because it made fun of Mick Jagger singing in the Stones version of Walking the Dog, where he goes high, low, tippy toe. We all used to goof on that and sing "Hey ho" instead. Thank you for watching along with me as I talked about these two artists. If you have an idea for an artist or a city, please let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.